from the backyard because it is nice enough to be out here. I figured different scenery couldn't hurt. Okay, so, welcome to the ultimate guide to a holistic spring diet that can heal your gut. Today, what we're going to talk about, we're going to outline some food choices, why food choices during spring even matters, and how to know what foods are best for your diet right now and will help not only support you in healing your gut, but will help you maintain a healthier gut. Now, the very first thing we're going to pay attention to and we're going to look at is how to find the foods that are essential right now. And really any season, but we're specifically talking about spring, so we're going to keep it in spring. But how do you find them without having to do a full on research project? Are there easy tips and tricks? The answer to that question is and we're going to go over them today. We're also going to go over and end with some tips and tricks on how to prep and meal plan and really maximize the effectiveness of your diet so that you don't have to think about it anymore. One of my goals is always to make sure that my clients are eating healthy, obviously, supporting a healthier gut, healing when they need to, all of that, but doing so in a way that it doesn't take over their life. It's we have to eat for the rest of our lives, right? We don't get out of it. We have to drink water for the rest of our lives. We have to be active for the rest of our lives. So why not make it as easy as possible? Seems fairly simple, right? But we definitely, as humans and within the society, we overcomplicate it. So I wanted to make sure that the topics we talked about this year. Oops, hi, bye. Whoops. And this is how you know it's live. Hold on one sec. We will get you all set back up. Gotta love Texas wind, right? Okay. Yay, Texas wind. Woohoo. All right. So back to it. Um, so during today's talk, what we're going to really focus on is springtime and spring foods, and how to maximize it and not lose our minds. All right. Because, I mean, really, we had enough going on. We were around the house last week. Holy cannoli. All right. So I go out. I have a great time with my girls. Totally overdid it. But it's been a year since we did that. So, like, I'm not going to stress about that, right? Except for the fact that, I come home Sunday, recover. I probably needed a couple more days because I don't do that very often. And Monday, kept the boys home, drove my friend to the airport, thought it was going to be a nice, fun day. And Monday afternoon, the boys started coughing. Tuesday, it's worse when they get up, very congested. So I'm thinking, ear infection, this is pretty normal for them, pretty normal for this age, right? They were out in the wind over the weekend outside. So makes sense. Take them into the doctor on Wednesday because they're still sick. It's strep. And my poor babies have not ever had strep. So these poor guys had that sore throat and the congestion and the coughing and all of it that comes with it for the whole week. Oh, talk about cranky. Cranky. And understanding the foods that we needed to eat, the foods that they needed to eat to keep their gut healthy while their body was trying to heal is crucial. And it does change from season to season. So one of the things I wanted to really look at is why these food choices even matter. Why are we even talking about this? How do we say that, right? Why do we talk about this? All right, so in wintertime, you've got stagnation, right? Do you feel that when it gets cold, you kind of slow down a little bit? You're eating more nourishing foods, more comfy foods, not things that are vibrant per se. They really don't wake up the senses too much unless you add a lot of spice into it. And what happens with that is that, you start, how do I say this? when you're focusing on eating all those comfort foods, which is what we should be eating during the wintertime, so please don't get me wrong, we should be eating these foods during winter. But when it comes to here we are now in spring, those aren't the foods we should be eating. And in a lot of areas, we're still cold. Not obviously not down here, but in some areas of the country, you're still cold and you're still eating some of those comfort foods because your body is still craving them. So when you're looking at winter into spring, you want to make sure we are talking, and when you're hearing this and when you start implementing this, make sure you do so during that time frame, that 3 to 4 weeks when you're shifting from winter into spring, where it's warmer in the afternoon and colder in the morning, colder at night, warm in the afternoon to the point that you don't need a jacket anymore. When you get there, then you know it's time to really look at some of those spring foods. Winter really represents just a stagnation and a slowing. We don't have as much sunlight. We don't have as much activity. It's cold. Our bodies don't want to do anything. It wants to curl up, it wants to warm itself, and that's all it wants to do. In a lot of places too, with the cold weather, it can be difficult to breathe. So getting oxygen in can be a challenge for some people during the winter. So now spring represents that shift from that stagnation to the vibrancy and the energy of summer. And summer is like going from, how do I say this? Going from the carousel ride to the rock and roller coaster. All right. Your carousel ride is your winter, and your rock and roller coaster is summer. So during spring, it's really crucial to know what foods to eat. And the best way you can do so is to look at your seasonal produce. And the way that you know what is seasonal in your area is based on what is in your produce departments or at your farmers markets. If it's on sale, if there's a plentiful of it because they have to put it on sale, that's in season. And those are the foods that you want to choose. Now, majority of the recipes that we have, a few exceptions, please don't get me wrong, I'm not a chef, but the majority of the foods and the recipes and dishes out there, foods can be swapped in and out. It's not necessarily you have to make this recipe with these foods, like for like. Just remember that, like for like. So when you look at spring recipes, you can still use your winter recipes and just incorporate some of the spring foods. For instance, one of my all-time favorites is the spaghetti squash burrito bowl. And it's very comforting during wintertime, but then when you shift into, spring and summer, how do you make it a little bit more vibrant? You swap out some of those vegetables that are in it and you add in some fruit. You can add papaya, mango, pineapple starts coming into season in the spring, and it is just so delicious, and it really wakes up your dish. So incorporating some of the fresh ingredients from the season helps wake up your food, but it also helps you in restoring your gut health and maintaining that gut health from season to season. Okay. So when you look at locally grown, you look at what's on sale, you can tell what you should be putting into your food. And if you ever have any questions about, I have this recipe and I don't really understand how to swap like for like, send it to me. Tell me what you're trying to do. I will send you an answer. Might take me a 24-hour period, like sometime within 24 hours, but I promise you I will get back to you and I will answer you because it's something I've done for a very long time. I lost 100 pounds 20 years ago, 2003. And I have been doing this since then. So while my recipes may not be 100% on point for chefs, they taste delicious because I won't eat anything this crap. I refuse to do it. I have a rule: if we make something and it turns out horribly, we order pizza. And yes, I know I can't have dairy in, and that means most of my pizzas show up without cheese on it. But that's the rule because I won't eat crap. I don't expect you to either. All right, so let's look at some of the superfoods in spring. There are 5 specifically that I wanted to talk about. So these 5 superfoods during springtime, they really can support your gut. And we're going to talk about why and how. We're going to go into depth with each and every one of these. The very first one is one of my favorites, is strawberries. So if you notice, coming into spring, all of a sudden there's strawberry picking, there's blueberry around here, there's blueberry picking. I need to look that up. Take the boys, get some yummy, delicious local blueberries. If you're anywhere near a strawberry farm, that's the best place to get strawberries. Best place. They're vibrant, they're nutritious, and a lot of times most of the farmers do farm organically. They just simply don't go through the process of organic certification. It's expensive. There's a lot of paperwork with it. I don't blame them. If I understand their growing process, I feel much better about it, especially locally. You know what's in your system. All right, so strawberries, sprouts, and microgreens, which by the way, so I throw them all in my smoothies. Um, beets and mushrooms and Asian greens, or so when I see Asian greens, my brain kind of goes into like a it glitches. So Asian greens, we're talking about bok choy, we're talking about cabbages, um, various other lettuce-like greens. Okay, we are not talking roots, we are talking greens. So rather than just going with dark leafy greens all the time, if you choose some Asian greens, which are springtime is the best time for Asian greens in the States. They're delicious. And when you make a salad with Asian greens, it gives it just a little bit of a different flavor. So it's not your typical salad. So if you're eating the same salad over and over and over again, and you find that um, you are getting bored with it, swap out the greens, swap out a couple of ingredients, you'll be fine. It really does, the swapping one food for another shifts up that flavor just enough that your brain goes, ooh, and it wakes up a little bit more. And what we're trying to do during spring is wake up our brain for summer, right? Without going overboard. So we want to support the gut in doing so. So these 5 superfoods, the biggest reason I chose these to discuss with you today, um, I got through all of them, is because let me backtrack. My brain's going a mile a minute today, you guys. I'm sorry. It really is. It's just all over the freaking place. I was so excited about this topic, and I love talking about this stuff. So let's backtrack. Your 5 foods. You've got your strawberries, your mushrooms, your Asian greens, your beetroots, and what else did I put on this list? Microgreens. Yep, microgreens. Now, each one of these has specific purposes. And during ancient traditional times, when medicine men, women, healing men and women would use these foods, they were to heal digestive ailments, specifically digestive ailments that would pop up in the transition from winter to spring. So these are, from an herbal medicine perspective, these are very healing. These are considered healing foods, not herbs, but foods. Okay. They're in season. They are absolutely delicious. And yes, I know I said I don't like microgreens. I don't like mushrooms either. But if you chop it up in tiny little pieces and put it in something that has like avocado in it, something else that's soft, I'll eat it. I will totally eat it. It's a brain game. Feeding me is like feeding a teenager. I used to say toddler, but that is not true. I have found out for a fact that is not true. So anyway, so let's go over each one of these because each one of the 5 superfoods has specific components, and these were used in ancient times to help support the gut in different ways and help support the body in different ways. And they were specifically effective in transition from season to season. Okay, so with strawberries, they were medicinally used to alleviate digestive ailments. They are very high in fiber. They have vitamin C, which, if you don't know, vitamin C enriched foods, anything that is grown with vitamin C, it helps you absorb iron. So if you're having issues with your ferritin or with your iron, you want to make sure you're also eating vitamin C in some way, shape, or form. Berries are a great source of it. Strawberries, in particular, have a very high volume of vitamin C inside of them. Folate and it's kind of a concentrated dose of folate. So ladies, reproductive health. But here's the other thing. Folate in particular helps you to relieve constipation. So if you haven't noticed, watermelon is like this too, but watermelon's a summer food. If you overeat watermelon or you overeat on berries, right? You overdose on them. All of a sudden you can go from normal poop to diarrhea or very thin, loose stools. This is why. So if you're having trouble with constipation, having about a half a cup each day is really helpful and really beneficial and will help you get back onto a regular pooping schedule. All right. And I get it. Every time I say regular pooping schedule, my brain goes straight for Sheldon on Big Bang Theory. He's not wrong. I mean, it's an extreme way of doing it, but he's not wrong. We should be pooping multiple times a day on some sort of a schedule. It's related to how you eat when you eat. It's not necessarily something you have to put in writing, but yeah, he's not entirely wrong. Now, finally, one of the things, and this really doesn't necessarily affect the gut, but it does affect the brain-gut axis, okay, the brain-gut connection. And this is manganese. Manganese specifically helps you improve brain health. It supports function within your brain's memory, cognitive function, focus, really just supports overall brain health to help you function day to day without feeling like a zombie. How's that? Now, your sprouts and your microgreens, those are anti-inflammatories. They're antibacterial, they fight cancer, they're antioxidants. Effectively, what you're looking at is the concentrated doses of larger foods. So microgreens and sprouts, broccoli sprouts, for instance, cruciferous foods. All the nourishment that you find within broccoli is concentrated down into these tiny little sprouts. And when you're eating them, you don't have to eat as much as you would with broccoli. So effectively, a half cup of broccoli is equivalent of about a quarter cup of sprouts, the nutrient value. So if you're looking to add some mega doses of vitamin D, some potassium, microgreens and sprouts also act as prebiotics. They feed good bacteria. They do not feed bad bacteria. Bad bacteria and gut microbes do not like sprouts. They don't like microgreens. They don't like to eat them. So I highly recommend you eat them. And, you get all these super benefits inside of it. I don't know. Okay, anyway. So within the microgreens, like I said, I don't like them. So what I end up doing is I put them in my smoothie because I notice that they really do help me in that transition from winter through to spring. Next up will be beetroot. Now I do the same thing with beets that I do with microgreens. They end up in my smoothies. There's a couple of different frozen, like little ice cube kind of things that you can buy or you can make at home. And they include cranberries, beetroot, and some algae and a couple of other sea vegetables. And basically take a little cube, pop it in your smoothie. It gives you everything. I throw actual sprouts and actual microgreens into my smoothies. Now with beets, those are a little bit different than the microgreens. The way that beets work is you could ferment them. So like canned beets and canned beets and jarred beets. I don't know why that was so difficult for me to say, but canned beets and jarred beets can be fermented using, that salt solution so that it becomes more of a vinegar flavor, right? Hey, no, Kinsey, no. Beets are packed full of fiber. Neighbors. Um, no. Hey, get inside. Get inside. Time out. Time out. Go. 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 Get inside. Get inside right now. Get, get inside. Inside. Hush. Go. Okay, so this one's going to be edited, reposted. Anyway, back to beetroots. So beets, what they are is they're fermented, or they can be fermented, which gives you um, the vinegar flavoring. And effectively with vinegar, that's how you get your fermentation. The fermentation feeds healthy gut. It helps act as probiotic. Okay. Um, the amount of fiber that you can find in beets is phenomenal. I mean, if you ever look at a beet straight from the store, they're pretty massive, so there's a lot of fiber in there. The other thing with beetroot is it's one of the richest sources of glutathione, which is an amino acid. And what that amino acid acts as is one of the it's one of the essential components to gut health function, if that makes sense. So it helps to direct the microbiomes and the bacteria within your gut, so that what ends up happening, seriously, anyway, when it helps within your gut, now your brain is going to be activated, right? So when your gut is healthy, your brain is healthy. Beetroot is one of the massive superfoods, just all around superfoods. And when it comes to your gut, it is like a superfood on steroids. Let's fast forward to mushrooms. And you hear a lot about mushrooms nowadays, right? Superfood all across the board, phenomenal food, right? So there are nutrients that help balance your microbiome, okay? Copper, potassium, phosphorus, and iron. Remember the strawberries? So strawberries and mushrooms inside of a salad, especially with leafy greens of some sort, whether they're Asian greens or not, you put strawberries, mushrooms, a little bit of feta, even vegan feta works in this case, you guys. Some pepitas or pumpkin seeds, and a raspberry or strawberry vinaigrette. Oof, to die for. You've got your potassium, you've got an overdose of magnesium. On top of that, you've got all your antioxidants, your healthy gut foods, the support from winter into spring. It's fresh, it's vibrant. It feels like you are eating spring. And that sounds funky to hear, but that's what it feels like, is it feels like you are eating spring. And when it comes to mushrooms, you have to be careful with, how they're grown, obviously. You want to cook them more than eat them raw. But when it comes to mushrooms, they act as prebiotics, but then on top of that, they also help to support gut health function. So they act almost like a probiotic, even though they really aren't. Um, Traditionally, they've been used to heal acid reflux, heart disease, help. What TCM calls it is helping with a weak heart, or heart weakness. Sorry, my apologies. Heart weakness. So things that affect your heart, and things that directly affect your gut. So we're talking heartburn, acid reflux, painful conditions that affect our digestive system. That brings us into Asian greens. Now, Asian greens, like I said, they're absolutely delicious this time of year. They boost your immune system. They act not only as probiotics, but prebiotics and digestive enzymes. And they contain as many micronutrients as the dark leafy greens, the mass amount that just loads your body with that vitamin D, the healthy vitamin C, magnesium, D, all of it, just massive infusion, right? And fiber, again, because, basically that's what lettuce leaves are, is fiber. All right, so we're going to talk about some and this whole talk with some tips and tricks. So we've got our 5 foods, right? But when you have a busy life, is it really that easy to prep and plan? It can be. So let me just share with you a couple of tricks that I use that helps me and helps my clients really in buying these foods and knowing what to do with them. The very first thing is using a meal prepping service. So whether it's an app that provides you, meal planning within it, which we actually use. Check My Body Health. They have a meal planning system. You can go in, you can set it based on allergies, food preferences, seasonal preferences. There's so much you can do with it. But there's a number of them out there. You could use a meal prepping service that actually prepares the food for you or sends you the meals to make. Either way. Um, Having the meal plan done monthly for you, which is what we do within Wild Free Health, which is the new community. I'm so excited. It is launching this week. You guys got to get in there. I think right now it's just Kim and I, but once it launches, everything that we do within our Facebook group will now take place in Wild Free Health, including testing services, 20% off your supplements, and your monthly meal plans with recipes will all be within that. And now what people have done with the monthly meal plans and the recipes is they either use it as is or they incorporate the various recipes into their own meal planning. And it just gives them a little bit of fun each week. You're talking maybe, I think the most I've ever gone is 10 recipes a month. That's including breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We talk snacks within the group, but for the most part, the way I look at snacks is you're looking at, something fruit or veggie and something that is protein. Make it quick, make it easy. Don't think too much about it. You can buy pre-cut produce. So rather than buying all of your fruits and vegetables and your produce and taking it home and cutting it yourself, you can actually buy it pre-prepped. Nothing on it. It's just been cut for you. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive because you're paying for their staff to cut it for you. But if you have a busy life and the struggle when you get home is that you buy the the fruit and vegetables, right? You get them in, but you do nothing with them because the act of cutting them up or dividing them or doing any of that is overwhelming or just doesn't take place for whatever reason, then buying pre-cut or pre-prepped produce is the way to go. It really is. Save yourself some headache. Is it the best? Well, I mean, basically it's just the fruits and vegetables cut up. That's it. That's all it is. So it's no different than you buying the fruits and vegetables and cutting them. So it's a choice. Either you're going to cut them yourself or you're going to buy them pre-cut. Make it easy on yourself. Do what works best for you, for your budget, and for your time budget as well, not just financial. All right. I use my crock pot. I use my Instapot. I do sheet pan meals. I prep meats during the week or, black bean burgers, things like that. Anything that's going to be the core protein component of my dishes for the week, I prep them once a week. So they're in the fridge and all I have to do is grab it and add it to whatever I'm making. Each week I use a different flavor. I'm debating today between the 3-pepper chicken or the fajita chicken thighs. Not sure which way I'm going to go with that, but those are my 2 options. And for the most part, aside from a very specific flavor, they coordinate with everything. Black bean burgers, my black bean burger recipe on the website is pretty spicy, so adjust your spice accordingly, people. But again, that goes with everything. I've put it in a tortilla and made black bean burritos and black bean tacos before, and it's been delicious. So I really don't discriminate on my meats, but that does help me a lot is to just prep it once a week. And I prefer the grill, but sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes it gets thrown into a baking dish and put it in the oven because that's what I have time for. And Instapot is phenomenal at making food quick, especially hard-boiled eggs. Quick, easy, in and out, right? Then you have hard-boiled eggs inside the fridge. I usually keep about 4 a weekend for the boys and for me for just quick grab and go. And then A crock pot, if you have frozen meat, you forgot to take out whatever meat you're cooking, right? Chicken, I've done it with chicken, I've done it with pork, and I've done it with fish. I haven't done it with red meat, but I don't eat a lot of red meat. Toss that into a crock pot. Toss a jar of salsa or about 2 cups of homemade salsa into the crock pot with it. Leave it for a few hours. Let it cook on high. Turn it on to low. Let it infuse the flavors. Shred it all up. Voila. It's a great topping for a salad. It's a great topping for a spring roll. It's great on top of rice, on top of lettuce. I mean, you name it. Quick, easy, and you don't have to defrost your meat. I'm famous for not defrosting my freaking meat. I always forget that part. All right, so last, and this is the most important thing I can say about this transition and really truly having that ultimate guide to healing your gut and maintaining a healthier gut during spring. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. The produce that is in season is typically on sale. There's tons of it. The store doesn't want to hold on to it. It wants to get rid of it because if it doesn't, then it goes to waste. So buy what's on sale. Save yourself a little bit of money. And then if you need to, buy it cut up already. Keep it simple. Don't overwhelm yourself. Keep the cooking simple. Keep the prep simple. And be mindful when you're doing so that you understand yourself a little bit better. And the next season, so once we go spring into summer, then what can happen is you go spring into summer, but by the time you hit that time frame, you already know, okay, I need to buy things pre-cut, or I need to use my crock pot more than I use anything else because I'm just not, I just don't gravitate towards that for whatever reason. All of these things help you heal your gut. They help you maintain a healthier gut without you overwhelming yourself, stressing over it, and basically putting yourself through more torture than you really need to be. So I'm going to end on that note. Keep it simple, you guys. Enjoy your healthy guide. Remember those 5 foods. Look for the 5 foods inside your grocery store. Strawberries, mushrooms, Asian greens, microgreens or sprouts, and beetroot. Beetroot tastes phenomenal roasted. When I roast them and I put them into my smoothie, it is on point. So if you have not tried beets in a while, this is the season to start trying them again. All right, you guys, I will chat with y'all later. Have a wonderful day. Yeah, the girls are sending you off with style. Bye, guys.